There we are.
Okay, we will call to order the public hearing portion of the Board of Supervisors General Business Meeting for Thursday, March 6th. We'll call to order, and we'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Before we get started, first like to note to anyone who celebrates Ramadan Mubarak to you. It's a holy month for our Muslim brothers, and we'd like to say safe and healthy and meaningful fast to you. For those who are celebrating other holidays as we enter a very religious time of year, happy and healthy holidays to you and your family. And before we get started tonight, just taking a moment to be thankful for who we are, where we are, and why we're here, and making sure that we're all in the right frame of mind before we get started tonight. So if we could do that with just a moment of reflection, please. Thank you. We'll get started with the public hearing portion of our agenda tonight. I'd like to make a motion to open the public hearing on the matter of the proposed amendments to Chapter 22, Subdivision and Land Development, Parts 2, 4, 5, 7, and 8 of the Upper Matunji Township Code of Ordinances. Is there a second?
I second.
Thank you, Sonny. All in favor of the motion to open the public hearing, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
It's open. This is a public hearing regarding ordinance number 2025-01, proposing to amend Chapter 22, Subdivision and Land Development of the Township of Upper Matunji Code of Ordinances. The proposed ordinance will amend Part 2, Definitions, Part 4, Preliminary Plan Submission Procedures and Requirements, Part 5, Final Plan Submission Procedures, Requirements, and Recoding, Part 7, Design Standards, and Part 8, Improvement Specifications as set forth in more detail in the body of the ordinance. The Board of Supervisors will not take action during the hearing. However, the board is scheduled to act on it during an agenda item later tonight. Andrew.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This may seem a little bit of deja vu to the board and to the public because if you recall, back in January, we had a public hearing for the same amendment. What had transpired following that public hearing is that during the adoption process, I believe there was a number of comments that were made by the public, a business owner in the public. We were also transitioning township engineers at that point in time. So some of the questions, while they were minor, related to the wording that was used in the amendments, since that time, they were minor. We really didn't need to go through this process again. However, the cumulative total of all these questions left me a little bit uncomfortable. So we decided to go through the process once again. By way of background, following the January meeting, the township did have a chance to review the questions that were proposed during the January meeting. Those were submitted, I believe, in writing. The township staff and the township engineer, along with the previous township engineer, worked their way through those comments. Some of them needed some minor tweaks, I guess, in the wording, and others were, they were not given much consideration. And even though the comments were received, they felt that the township felt that the way that it was drafted was appropriate. So having gone through that process, along with setting the amendment back to the Lehigh Valley Planning Commission, to which we received no comment, and also through the Upper Matunji Township Planning Commission, which gave a favorable recommendation, we are back before the board and the public to reintroduce the amendment and to receive any public comments with regard to that. As you stated, there will not be any action, but this is just to create a record for the adoption process that's as required. So Secondly, and lastly, I guess, this hearing was published in the Parkland Press in accordance with the second-class township code and the Pennsylvania statutes on February 12th and 19th. So everything's good to go. Ryan, are you going to be addressing the changes, or does the board have does the board have an opportunity to review the updated amendment?
I'm sorry. I will acknowledge that I completely was not paying attention
Okay.
to the last sentence.
We were talking about process,
this
not
public hearing has been duly advertised.
Yep, got that part.
At that point in time, it's ready for discussion.
Sure.
Not certain if you just want to hear the revision since the last hearing in January, or have you reviewed this and only need those?
Well, I'm a little
summary.
wonky, so I compared them to I compared the new version to the old version. But what I think is probably best practice is let Ryan, since last we visited this topic, unfortunately Ryan had been our township engineer for 27 seconds and had not had an opportunity
Right.
to look at everything.
Right.
So Ryan, why don't you let us know the process that you've undergone, some of the material changes,
Sure.
and then you don't need to go through every
I'm not going to go through
individual
every
detail, but
every
if we
word.
have some
Right.
questions, then we can address those at that point.
Sounds good. So
Yep.
I'll give you a brief summary. And as Andrew stated, since the last board meeting, we did have one of our planners review the amendment and the interim changes. And we did meet with the township staff as well as Dave Albans, your previous, excuse me, your previous engineer from Keystone Engineering. Sorry. So general changes, they all address some of the issues with the VSAP. There were some stormwater issues they had with some inlets that were needed in parking lots. Sorry, let me go through this. All right, so specifically, we had some questions. Yeah, I got a dry throat. So the township was requesting that we require water system approval letters at the preliminary stage. While we can't require that, we can show that they need, excuse me.
I know it's a dry topic, but
I like that.
That was good.
that's dry humor too.
That was very good.
So I'm not going to go through every little ordinance change, but bottom line is we addressed all the VSAP stuff. Previous township engineer and the planning commission felt that we needed additional inlets for some sag areas and parking lots, specifically to address 100-year storms. We kept all that verbiage in there. And then finally, we addressed access, 25-foot wide access, which will get the Saldo to adhere to the zoning ordinance.
So for the purpose of our stenographer, VZAP that you were talking about is VZAP. That's the Vision Zero Action Plan. Just to
Sorry.
make sure that
We are an acronym type.
yeah, but we got
type
people
industry.
writing
Yeah.
our stuff down tonight. So
Right.
I had one question, and it was regarding what you actually mentioned about the water will serve
Yes.
letters as part of the preliminary plan. And I noted in my notes from January that there was a question of whether we'd have a proof of submission rather than a actual water will serve letter.
Right. That's correct.
The change is not proof of submission. The change is still a will serve letter.
It's a will serve letter, as well as we use the term water system approval letter.
Yep.
While we can't require outside agency approval at the preliminary level, we can request that they show that it has been requested and discussions have occurred with the public utility.
Right. So it's not an application or a submission to the public utility. We actually need a response as part of the preliminary process.
I believe so. Yes.
Okay.
Oh, sorry, just to be clear, so
Yeah.
that's been added, that just, you need evidence, or, okay, I'm just.
I can read it
asking
to
for
you.
clarity, Yeah,
So we have a section called the certification of water supply systems, and it indicates when water service to the proposed subdivision is to be provided by an existing public system The developer shall submit 2 copies of a water will serve letter and a water system approval letter from the agency, authority, or utility which agrees to provide water service, subject to the execution of a service agreement.
And there's actually no change from the January version to this
Right.
version. And that was a decision that staff made along with consultation with HRG
And KCE.
and
correct.
KC. Okay.
Right.
KCE, that's Keystone Consulting
Right.
Engineering. Sorry.
Okay.
I don't have any other specific questions. Sonny?
I mean, just out of curiosity, I didn't see it, but other outside agencies like PennDOT, whatever, are we? That we're not requiring any kind of proof of engagement or anything.
Well, typically, as a condition of any preliminary approval, we do like to see that there have been discussions between PennDOT, DEP, whoever it might be, but it's not a requirement that they have approval prior to receiving preliminary
Sure.
plan approval.
I
Right.
know it's not a requirement to get receivable, but is it a requirement just that they've reached out and have started engagement, or do we?
It's not a requirement, but
Okay.
they should.
Yeah, it's not in the
No.
ordinance. Though.
Just
Okay.
as a practical matter, if they're doing a
Yes.
preliminary plan, they're asking where we should go, but once they get a conditional approval or preliminary plan, they're moving forward with those outside agencies.
Right. They should be doing it concurrently.
Yep.
I got it. All right, thank you.
If they would do it without that, and PennDOT would just say, no, we want to see this change or that change, they're going to, go back through the process.
Yep.
So it's recommended
Okay.
for
it's
their
not
own
required.
benefit to go through.
Right. They could move a driveway. Anything could happen. Yeah.
Got it.
Anything else?
And just to summarize again, this is not intended to be a full rewrite of the saldo, but an interim update to capture some of the new terminology, such as the Vision Zero Action Plan, and some other little items related to stormwater. In January, the township staff and consultants felt that this was in good shape. We did respond to the written comments as township consultants felt appropriate. There's also some questions and comments from the planning commission that were rolled into this revision now. So while it was probably appropriate to take action in January, it's been sharpened up a little bit. So again, it's once we get to that point, I'm of the opinion it's ready for action.
Okay.
And I'm not certain if there's anyone here from the public, but it would be appropriate to receive comments from the public. at
I'm
this
gonna
point if
let
the board's
I'm gonna let
finished.
Jim go first before we do that. But Sonny, you good?
Yeah, I answered. I got all my questions.
Close it or?
No, we're Jim, just for your comment, and then I'll go to public.
I'm good.
All right, support for public comment on the saldo revisions. Anybody? Oh, this is glorious.
I make a motion to close the public hearing on the matter of the proposed amendments to Chapter 22, Parts 2, 4, 5, 7, and 8 of the UMT Code of Ordinances.
I'm going to second that motion. All in favor of the motion to close the public hearing, signify by saying aye.
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 None opposed. We are closed. Mr. Stenographer, thank you for your service tonight. We appreciate it. We are moving along. Part 3 of our agenda is additions or deletions. I do not believe we have any additions or deletions this evening, which is great. So we'll move to Part 4, minutes and financials. I'll make a motion to dispense with the reading of the meeting minutes for the general business meeting held on February 6th, 2025, and adopt them as presented, and to authorize the payment of the bills for the month of February in the amount of $4,389,135.20. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Thank you, Bob. Any discussions? Hopefully not.
Did you call me Bob?
Jim, sorry, I'm having a day. It's that dry comment. I shouldn't have made it. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes. Thank you. We're to section 5, presentations. PennDOT presentation on the culvert replacement project. Bob.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. PennDOT's here tonight. They are replacing a bridge culvert down in Breiningsville, and they would just like to present a little bit on the project and entertain any questions that people may have.
Where would be the best place to stand? Should I-
Wherever you're most comfortable and wherever you can be heard the
Do I need to
loudest.
talk into a microphone? Is it okay if I stand over here? So I
Well, there's a
Probably-
microphone right there too.
Yeah.
can- Oh, right,
Well,
You
you-
can hold that mic
Yeah,
too.
you can-
Perfect.
You can pull it out.
Thank you.
There you go.
Yeah, I believe we have our plans up on the screen here. So on behalf of PennDOT, thank you for your time this evening. My name is Janelle Hall. I am a project manager with Benish. We are providing the design and engineering services for the proposed bridge replacement project here in Upper Macungie Township. I'll try and keep this the condensed version tonight. I understand you have a schedule. Um, so the bridge that we're proposing to be replaced is located along Briningsville Road, just east of the intersection with Butts Road, to the south of Earl Adams Memorial Park. So just to give you a little bit of a background, the existing structure was built in 1921. It is a concrete encased steel I-beam structure, and overall it's considered in poor condition. There's deterioration throughout the structure. There's scour where the stream bed is washing away at the foundations. And I believe on the next slide, you'll be able to see there's pretty significant erosion of the stream bank on the upstream side of the structure. Yep, thank you. The top right-hand corner. You can flip back. Thank you. So the goal or purpose of this project is to replace the existing structure in a way that provides a safe crossing for the traveling public while meeting current design standards. So first and foremost, we're going to replace the existing structure with a precast box culvert. It has an approximate opening of 14 feet wide by 5 feet high, and it's depressed within the stream bed about a foot. A to to address that embankment issue, you can see along the north side of the roadway, we're proposing a cast-in-place concrete retaining wall that's approximately 40 feet long, and that'll help minimize that erosion in the future and eliminate maintenance concerns as well. Um, the second part of providing that safe crossing, right now when you cross the culvert you'll see that there's the concrete barrier that goes along the length of the culvert. For this structure we're anticipating structure mounted barrier. So that kind of looks like a small curb with structure with barrier mounted to the top of that, and that barrier is intended to continue along the length of the cast in place retaining wall that you see, and it will transition to your standard guide rail. So guide rail will also be installed on the remaining 3 corners as well. And then to meet current design standards, currently the culvert accommodates 2 10-foot lanes and 2 2-foot shoulders. The proposed structure will be lengthened to accommodate 2 12-foot lanes and 2 4-foot shoulders. So that will bring it up to meet current design standards. Despite this site and specifically, there's no major environmental concerns that we have to be worried about. There's a few utilities that we'll take into consideration. Right now, there's one possible fiber optic line running along the north shoulder, and one public sanitary sewer line that may be in conflict with the culvert along the south. But we're really in the preliminary stages for utility verification. We'll have test borings proposed in the future so we can identify the presence of those utilities and the depths as well to know, how much of an impact they really will have. So to move on to the anticipated project schedule, right now we are in the preliminary engineering stages, shortly moving into final design, which we anticipate to wrap up in the fall of 2026. Shortly after that, a contract will be awarded. And then we anticipate construction to be anywhere between the spring of 2027 and winter of 2028. Now, rest assured, construction won't be that entire duration. We anticipate about a 3-month construction duration. We are able to accomplish that because this is a precast structure. So essentially, it's brought in 5 to 8 foot long segments and put into place. And another reason we're able to accomplish that is because we're intending to complete this replacement under a full detour. You can go on to the next slide, please. This is just a general map showing you the detour. The project in general, it's a little hard to see, but on the top left-hand corner, there's a rectangle that represents the project site. And then the detour is indicated by the dotted line. It will utilize Butts Road, Mertztown Road, Wheelers Road, and these are all standard. These are state-owned roads, which is pretty standard for a PennDOT project. In total, the detour is going to be about 3.4 miles. The next slide, please. So one thing I wanted to touch upon is Earl Adams Memorial Park, this property. And the reason why I wanted to touch upon this is because it's considered a Section 4F property. A Section 4F property is categorized as an area that's publicly owned land or park or historic area that's protected under Section 4F of the U.S. Department of Transportation Act. And what that means is these areas in particular should just have special considerations, and impact should be kept as minimal as possible. In this case, we're not able to completely eliminate disturbance of this area because we're lengthening that culvert to accommodate the widened lanes and shoulders. We do fall just a little within the property, and also the guide rail that we're adding just crosses over the corner as well. The pink area here represents the proposed right-of-way, and then the light blue or purple area represents the temporary construction easement that is going to be required to complete this project. In all, that area is about a little over 0.1 acre. So this is categorized as a de minimis, which means that the area being impacted is minimal, and the overall function or activities that take place on this property are not impacted at all. So that's kind of what I wanted, a summary of what I wanted to cover. I want to, before I forget, point out that we do have questionnaires. So any questions, concerns, comments that you have, you can leave those for us, and we'll definitely take those back into consideration. Also available to stick around afterwards in case you have any questions.
Sonny or Jim, any questions?
Thank you. I think you actually answered all my questions. I was concerned about the detour and what we were going to do during construction. It's just a suggestion to the staff and whatever. I mean, we have about maybe 40, 50 people here, but there's probably a lot of people that might be impacted that are not in this room. My only suggestion is that we could put some of this information on the web, and maybe even the questionnaire, if that could be online. And that way people that are not here but might be impacted would have the opportunity to provide us with some feedback. Would that be acceptable to
Yeah,
you?
absolutely. And they are on public display. There is a website. They'll be on there for about 30 days or so, but we can definitely point you in that direction.
I don't know if we can host.
Keep in mind, it doesn't bid until 2026
Yeah, no, I know.
with
but-
completion 2027. So might be a little early to even people to forget about it by.
Well, they're going to hear about it in the newspaper because we have reporters here.
No,
Yeah, so it'd be good that they if they start looking for information, they know where to find
yeah,
it.
Once we are ready for that, I can go ahead and put that on the website as well.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
we may want to just keep it up there then.
Questions from the public writ large? Anybody? Janelle, thank you.
Okay, thank you very
Thank
much
you.
for your time.
Thank you.
We're going to move to item B of the presentations, the Western Lehigh Chamber of Commerce. Hayden.
Good evening, everyone. How are you?
Hi, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. Thank you so much for having us this evening. For those who I don't have the pleasure of knowing, which it's great to see so many familiar faces around the table. My name is Hayden Rendy,
I'm Emily Broski.
and we are, along with our colleague Jessica O'Donnell Gower, who sends her best this evening, we are your Western Lehigh Chamber of Commerce liaisons. We want to thank you for the opportunities to come and present. We're taking a page out of Phil Armstrong's book and doing our annual presentations to all the municipalities. And we want to thank you for your continued partnership with the Chamber as members and continuing just actively being engaged with the Chamber. We'd like to share a couple updates from the different initiatives of the Western Lehigh Chamber, which is proud partners of the Greater Lehigh Valley Chamber of Commerce, updates from the last year and kind of what we have in the works for this year. So the Western Lehigh Chamber, just as a reminder for those who may not be aware of the Chamber and our footprint, is comprised of Upper Macungie Township and South Whitehall Township. We are just one of the 30 chambers and councils that make up the Greater Lehigh Valley Chamber of Commerce. And we are one of the largest chambers as a whole, the Greater Lehigh Valley, within the country. striving to help stimulate the economy and improve our communities in the Lehigh Valley, which that's actually a new mission statement. That communities piece is new for us. So a little change to the quality of life. We want to improve our communities. So one of the key initiatives that the Western Lehigh Chamber has each year is our annual community grant. Last year, we were able to give $1,500 to 3 different organizations, the Goodwill Fire Company, the Eastern PA Down Syndrome Center, and the Jewish Family Service of the Lehigh Valley to help support their different initiatives and programs. The application for this year's grant is going to open late March. We're moving to completely digital this year, so it'll be easier for nonprofits to apply. So we just encourage local nonprofits that are servicing Upper Macungie residents and the Western Lehigh region to apply to be considered for that community grant. To you, Emily.
Yep. And within our chamber and all the events we put on, just everything that we do, we could not possibly do this without all of our board members and all of our volunteers, especially to Cal, Ryan, and Emily for your recreation department who attend our monthly board meetings, keeping our volunteers' leadership up to date on the projects within your township. You're working with your recreation department closely to help promote and market the many wonderful community events they have planned for this year. And this is just one of the many resources available to the township and to the local businesses that are a part of the chamber. So as Hayden previously mentioned, our goal at the chamber is to stimulate the economy and help improve the quality of life. We do this in many different ways, like our community-driven Paws at the Park held at Grange Park, which we will talk about momentarily. Then we will also, along with community events, the Western Lehigh Chamber often partners with our East Penn Chamber of Commerce to host many luncheon tours, networking events, and for businesses and the community alike to be able to connect with one another. So one upcoming event within the township we would like to highlight is the Inside Look Tour with Canteen Vending, which is scheduled for April 23rd from 11:30 to 1. So if anybody is interested, just contact Hayden and myself and we can get you registered for that. So we are here as a resource to both you as local municipal leaders, as well as to the businesses that call Upper Macungie home. So please feel free to reach out to us with any initiatives that we can help with the township to market or plan or any ways that we might be able to support your community. So we are open to questions if you may have them.
The April 23rd event, all I heard was the Charlie Brown wah, 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 wah.
Oh.
You spoke a little quickly for me. Can you?
Oh, well, I was just saying, if you want to come to it, you can contact Hayden or
I
myself.
didn't know what it was.
Oh, canteen vending.
You gotta slow that down one more time, ma'am.
Canteen vending.
Canteen vending.
Yes.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And where is that?
I don't know the exact address, but it is here in the Allentown. It's an Allentown address.
It's on Penn Drive.
So actually going to Canteen, I know where that is. That's
Yes. So these are
Copy.
we just had one with Sharp Manufacturing. These are like inside look tours into these manufacturing
okay.
and warehouses to see what's behind the big gray
So
box. That,
what time? April 23rd.
That's 11:30 to 1.
23rd.
And that's open to the public and business members as well. So registration for that, we're happy to send it to you, or for the public, it's on our website, lehighvalleychamber.org/events.
Can you make sure we get it?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Any other questions? I know you have some other business that you have to go with us tonight too. Yeah,
Yes.
let's go.
I'm going to pass it to Ryan.
Ryan's got big shoulders.
Bad hands though.
There we go. So as this is the Pause in the Park event, this would be the 5th year the event would be running. It does involve consumption of alcohol and per rules needs to be approved by the Board of Supervisors. It is scheduled currently for May 4th, 2025 from 12 to 3 p.m. Grange Park. And it estimates about 1,000 people. And this year's beneficiary of the fundraising efforts is the sanctuary at Hafsville here in the township.
I'll make a motion to approve the Western Lehigh Chamber of Commerce fundraising event Pause at the Park. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. I have a question.
Absolutely.
In the past, I note I have no objection with the event. I think it's a fantastic event. I like that you're benefiting a local nonprofit. I don't know if we in the past have waived the park rental fee.
I believe it has been waived in the past.
Is that something? Do we
No.
know for sure?
I thought that we were coming to an agreement that fees were not going to be waived because it's a slippery slope, and where do you stop? So,
So we're
that being
talking,
said,
Ryan, we're talking about $200 rental fee?
if you remember, I donated the last one. And
I
I didn't
wasn't
want to
around for
be
this
in this
event
spot
last year.
again. So
I do
it's
remember
Jeff's
you
turn
doing
to
that.
donate $200.
Well, geez.
Understood. I wasn't here for this one yet last year, so
Well,
thank you for the update.
So
I would nothing against
No.
it's just where does that end?
Completely understandable. If that's
Um,
something we need to work into our budget, we appreciate
Yeah.
the partnership for the last 4 years.
Sure.
And if that's something that we need to work in,
is the chamber a nonprofit that we can
we're a
donate to?
501c6.
All right.
So we start with a budget of 0 and work up. But we
I'll kick in
appreciate
100 for them if you will.
I will match Jim's 100. So
Okay.
Jim and I will
He and I
cover
will
with the
pay your
donation.
fees.
Thank you both so much.
But
We
that-
appreciate
that way
all of
we
your
don't have
support.
But can we not?
But that's
Do
also
that
a
anymore.
slippery slope too.
Please.
So
Yeah.
any
Oh.
other nonprofits in the group, we're not donating to you unless you
300 bucks.
host a 1,000-person
300 bucks
event
into
in the
it, I'm
park.
done.
How about we'll match 100 if y'all match 100?
Perfect. That sounds fantastic. So Jim and I will come up with 100.
75.
This day's getting worse every time I talk. We'll figure it out. But if you'll match the 100, then you know what,
Thank
Sonny, I'm
you.
going to include you too. The three of us
Thanks
will make
for
sure that
under-
we match it as well.
Thanks for understanding.
Absolutely.
30, I was going to go with 33, 33.
And then 34 for me.
34 for you?
fine.
Okay, well,
We'll-
I'll admit for that.
We'll
Okay.
get it for
All
you.
right.
So
Your money's no good here.
we'll work that out with staff here, and we'll work and make sure Ryan can accommodate that. And we'll make sure that gets done for you.
We really
Thank
appreciate
you.
the support to bring this event to the community and continue to be able to support the businesses from the funds that are raised
All right.
at this event.
Is there any more question or concern? We've never had any issue with the alcohol at this event before.
We've never had any issue with alcohol.
We've all had
I mean, I
issues with
should-
alcohol, but questions from the audience or public about the Pause in the Park event, not about how we're donating half of the rental fee. Seeing none, we can call question, move to vote. All those in favor of the motion to approve the special event, the Western Lehigh Chamber of Commerce fundraising event, Pause in the Park, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
None opposed. Thank you all for your presentation tonight. We appreciate it. Thank you for
Thank you so
everything you
much
do
for
for our
having
community. All right. That motion cost me money, so we'll move on to something that won't.
I like spending your money.
I know you do. Presentation C, which is the Alloy 5 Facilities Evaluation Final Report. Bob.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. If the board recalls, last September, I believe it was, there was authorization for Alloy 5 to evaluate the township's facilities. That included Public Works, Police, Administration, and the 3 volunteer fire companies in the township. It was a long process. Staff was involved in it, but Emily and Mike from LOA 5 are here to give an overview of the findings.
Thank you for having us. I'm Emily with Alloy 5. I have Mike with me tonight as well. There we are on the slide. I can't make any promises that I'm going to be as brief as the people who presented before me. We have been doing this since September, and it's been a process, and there's a lot of buildings to evaluate and a lot of options that we've evaluated. If you can go to the next slide, please. So this is the conclusion of our feasibility study, which we do in a 3-step process. So our first process is the data collection, analysis, and evaluation. Our second step is the building evaluations. That is our professional team comes out here as architects and with our engineers who are looking at mechanical, electrical, and plumbing systems, come out and evaluate the buildings that you currently occupy. Our third step is the concept design phase. So that's looking at all the evidence that we've gathered and really understanding what your needs are and what the resolution to these needs will be. And tonight you'll mostly see steps 2 and 3. So we'll go through the building evaluations, and then you will see the options at the end that fall into that concept design phase. So this is the overview of your township. So on here, we've marked the 6 buildings that you see. The number 1 we've encompassed as one campus. So that's your 3 buildings that are
in or adjacent to the site that we're currently on. So the Township Building, Police Department, and Public Works across the road. And then A, B, and C are your 3 fire stations. So what you'll see now is an overview of each building we've analyzed with some images to kind of orient you to what you're looking at, as well as some information about the building. And then the next slide will be what we're calling a report card. So this is going through our 5 main categories, and then each category has subtopics. Those have all been evaluated, and then we create a ranking system. So the more dark greens or light greens that you're seeing, that is an excellent or good condition. Yellow is an average condition. And then orange and reds are things that might need to be addressed sooner rather than later. A lot of these we've associated with an age, essentially. So if it is excellent, it means it's going to last you another 8+ years. If it is in poorer condition, it means it should probably be addressed within the next 1 to 3 years. So a common theme for a lot of what you're going to be seeing throughout all 6 of the buildings is that the building structures are in average, good shape. And what really we have concluded out of this study, which you can see in the last column, in the program support column, is really where these buildings are not meeting your needs. So while we're looking at this, the age of the buildings might seem relatively newer to some people, or the condition of the envelope or the roof or the MEP systems are usually in good and excellent condition. And this is really a reflection of the township and how well they've upkept their facilities and their buildings. But because of the growth here, because of the extra needs, that they're not really meeting the program that is in these buildings anymore. So this is the township building. Again, your overall rating is good in this building, but you're seeing kind of those red marks in a few categories. Most of them fall under program support. The other ones are a little bit in the ADA and code compliance category. This building was primarily built before the ADA Act in 1992. So there are compliance issues here that have kind of been, I'll say, grandfathered in or worked around, but they are on their way of making the building inaccessible. If you can go to the next slide. Police Department, again, this is one of your newer buildings, but even being built in 2011 is still at this point going to be needing some needs soon. You can see a few of the categories. Again, a lot of the things are ranking in good or excellent. Where, again, you're not meeting your needs here is that program support. And then some of the other categories throughout, like the exterior doors and windows or the interior doors, are ranking in critical condition, mainly due to the fact that they are not meeting the accreditation standards or the typical how we would build a police department today. These categories are now out of date as to what was built in 2011. So again, that program support category is really where you're seeing there's not enough lockers. There's no training standards room. That right now the police department is renting facilities elsewhere. So it's those kind of categories that we're really seeing of kind of a failing grade. If you can go to the next slide. Next is Station 56. So this is the built in 2008, the fire department that the township owns this building. This building ranks really well. Again, it's a newer building. We are seeing a few categories falling into the good category, might need some maintenance over the next few years. But again, where you're seeing the real needs is the program support. And this is kind of common for most of the fire department buildings. A lot of those right now are red because the rooms don't exist, the program doesn't exist. The reason those categories are there is because the projection is that if the fire department moved to a fully staffed fire department rather than a volunteer, that those needs would need to be implemented. You can go to the next slide. Station 25, which is Goodwill Station number 1. This we know is not a township-owned building. So from a feasibility analysis standpoint, we've only analyzed really what the fire department is using. So this building is an older building. It has had a few additions and a few renovations, but the older facility is kind of what is giving the poor or average score in a lot of the building infrastructure categories. And then again, you're kind of seeing the same trend on the program support side. The next is Station 8, which is Vocalsville Fire. Again, we've only analyzed kind of the fire department side of it, and you're seeing an overall average rating. Again, the building is a little bit older, but the categories, again, that are critical are those program support categories. And then Public Works. I think Public Works tells the story of your township really well because it's been added on to the most. There's a lot of buildings needed over there, and that's because the township has experienced such growth that you're needing to service your parks and your roads and everything at a much higher capacity than when the original construction was started. Again, here, everything is averaging around good. There are some categories, mostly again in program support, but also parking, because there's a lot of structures over on that site now. There is a very limited amount of parking for public, for workers, and then also you're moving around a lot of larger vehicles. So there are some needs over there that need to be addressed from that standpoint. And then the program support, again, you're running out of vehicle storage. There's very limited acoustic privacy from the admin support from the offices over there. But overall, everything is ranking in the good category. Okay, so that was the kind of step 2 of the feasibility study. So those are the building analysis. And now we will jump into the concept design. So what has come out of this is really this master plan that we're calling it. We will have two master planning options that we're showing tonight. Both of them address kind of these 3 main points that have guided us the whole time. So we know you're experiencing growth in the township. We know you're continuing to grow, both as a township, but as a police department, as a fire department. All of your services are growing with your township. Functionality was a main point that came out of that building analysis, that your buildings structurally are safe. They are functioning. They are not supporting your program. So you shouldn't be working for your buildings. Your buildings should be working for you. And then safety and security. Again, we want to make sure, especially with emergency operations services like the fire department and the police department, we want to make sure that safety and security are at the forefront of that as well. So master plan option 1, you'll see 4 phases in both of these options. That is really addressing all 4 of your departments. So we're addressing each one in a different order, but in each one, you'll see all of these 4 departments show up. Master plan option 1 is less sequential than master plan option 2. So this we have kind of ranked based on timelines or priorities. Option 2, which you'll see after I explain option 1, is a little bit more dependent because it's a little bit more about shifting around what you already have. So I'll jump in first. So master plan option 1, phase 1 addresses the fire department. So this, you'll see a planning checklist for each, and this was really developed within the team that we've been working with over the past few months. So what are those main points that we would like to address here? So in this option, the one thing that we have determined that
would be a nice benefit for the township is that fire and police are sharing a campus. This option does not address that. So that's where you'll see the red X. Everything else is the green check mark here. So the fire department, and these slides will be the same on both options. Hopefully that makes it a little bit less confusing. But the projections here are that you would be going from 70 volunteers, and your future growth would mean about 10 full-time staff per shift. So that's really what we are projecting a program for. So you go to the next slide. We have determined this based on programming needs. So the building size is around 23,000 square feet, and that's for the fire department building. Based on the other program support needed, like a training facility and a fuel station, what we've determined is that your site would need to be approximately 5.5 acres. This right now is not on any particular site. It is just a site that is blank. So that's kind of what the next steps would be for if this option were what is chosen to move forward with, is that you would be looking for approximately a 5.5 acre site to accommodate these kind of three main structures on it. Next is the police department. So for this option, in option 1, the determination was an addition and renovation. Again, the building that the police department is currently in is not a bad building. It just doesn't always work for the police department. So the main thing that we're really trying to accommodate here is the future growth. So you are almost projected to double your police department. So we're going from about 35 officers to about 60 within the next 10 years. So if they stay in their current site, the things that aren't going to be addressed because of either site constraints or how the building is currently laid out is parking can't really be expanded where they are now. You are stuck with some of the adjacencies you currently have. Construction phasing for this option, if we are renovating and adding on to, means that they would be occupying the structure. That's a negative when it comes to safety and security for the police department. And then again, that emergency operations center, keeping police and fire on one site, wouldn't happen in this option. So what you're seeing is currently the site that we're sitting on with the police building to the south of us. The gray is the building that is currently there. The white are the addition pieces. So total, your building square footage would be about 20,000 square feet to accommodate the new program. The next is Public Works Department. So again, the requirements that we've looked at are a larger fuel island, more parking needs, improving some of that site circulation, and a fire training facility, bringing it onto the Public Works site. That would lay out something like this that accommodates a larger fuel island. Currently, the fuel island is needing to be refilled more than is ideal for the department. This also creates more vehicle storage, as well as replaces your current salt shed, which has some structural issues. Next. And lastly, the township admin building, the building we're currently in, would also be addressed in this one. Here you are projected to grow for admin, but there are, again, some things in this building that are not working for the program. So we can go to the next slide. So here it would be a smaller addition. So your total building would be around 12,400 square feet, and this would require 2 small additions. Again, you can see those in white. There are things in this building that we would upgrade, like the ADA compliance. However, it can lead to some complications because of how the building is laid out. So those were the 4 phases for option 1. Here you can see the overall projected costs for all 4 projects. We have a range for each building. Note that site acquisition is not included, so anything that you're looking at that would require a new site is additional money on top of that. And the total that you're seeing at the bottom in blue is the high of all of the projects totaled up. So if you go to the next slide, that would really be over the course of 9.5 to 10 years, depending on how things are phased. So the light blue here is the design, what I'll call the design phase, and the darker blue is the construction phase. So built into this schedule is time for design and construction as well. So those are the projections for each of those buildings. A lot of that would have to do with the amount of phasing, so that lengthens construction time. Also, if the new construction or the renovated construction is larger, you would have a longer design time as well. So again, back to this slide, the 3 kind of main points that we've looked at throughout, are keeping true to that and looking at in master plan option 2. So as I explained before, this plan is slightly more contingent on what happens previously. So the first phase here is a township building. So we're looking at new construction here. And I think the biggest change that you'll see on these slides is that in this option, we have a green check for every category that we've kind of determined is important. These categories are the same from option 1. So this is really the option that kind of services all those needs. You go to the next slide. Again, this is not a specific site, but we've determined that approximately 4 acres would be able to hold a 23,800 square foot township building. That's including basement storage. And that you would have enough room for parking and a public meeting room and all the program you have now, including the projected program that we've determined square footages for. The police department, again, the same projected growth and the same categories. Here you are seeing green check marks for a lot of these categories. And this is new construction on the current campus that we are currently on. So the township would have to move first into their new building, and then this current building that we are in would go away in order to be able to accommodate a brand new structure for the police department. So here you have a 2-story structure for a police department totaling in around 24,500 square feet. Go to the next slide. The fire department. Again, the same growth, and the planning checklist stays the same as well. And this would be the fire department moving into what is currently the police department. The additions here would just be to accommodate the engine bays. So total, that building would end up around 23,400 square feet. And then public works. Again, they are kind of accommodating all of the checked items here. And with this option, public works site would be getting the fire department training facility. So because of where the fire department is located on in the campus, and then also adjacent to where we are proposing to move the fire department to, the Public Works campus works really well for the fire training department. All right. And then the overall cost. So you can see this option is higher. It has addressed more of the concerns of the township needs, but it is a higher monetary option. And then with this too, it's about, you can go to the next slide. It's about the same overall projected timeline. So you're still looking at about the same amount of years for this. It just gets you to a different end goal and in a different sequence. All right, I will open it up for questions? I know that was a lot, so we can go back to anything.
So first, a couple of notes. One, Jim and I are not going to contribute to the 45 or $58 million in equal parts for Sunny as well. Bob, just confirming from the township side how long we've had this. If you're prepared to answer questions on these, any specifics or anything, what the township side is on this.
No, because as Emily mentioned, it's a lot of information. What you saw was a summary. What we just received today is the actual report that kind of is the evidence or the backup behind what she's presenting. Staff would definitely want to read through this, probably contact Mike or Emily, and maybe kind of tweak it to what we feel might be best for the staff, and probably come back to the board with maybe our recommendations in another month or so.
So just as a procedural point then, before we really get to a deep dive on this, and we'll obviously open it up to questions that we may have of you, Emily or Mike, procedurally and plan-wise, we're not going to take any action on this tonight, obviously.
There's no action.
There's nothing to take. But what I would propose then, based on what you said, Bob, is that we're going to add an agenda item for the April Board of Supervisors meeting
We can.
where we'll get some feedback from staff, from HRG, from Mike, and from Pete. And I guess Scotty too. I guess he's going to actually talk, where we can better gather all the information together and come up with some ideas of what actually might be a reality, as opposed to, not saying your plan isn't realistic, but what we've been presented tonight, as to what the township thinks, what our staff thinks might be the best pathway forward.
So you guys have not seen this yet?
We saw this presentation.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
Oh, the report just got finished probably yesterday or maybe the day before.
Okay. So just from a preliminary perspective, for those of us on the board as well as for the public, we don't have a lot of definitive answers on any of this. This is coming to us sort of new tonight. The goal here tonight is to get the presentation out so that we can start the conversation. The goal tonight is to lead to the next conversation, which will be a month from now, which I don't know if Emily and Mike are able to come back, but maybe you can come back and help us answer some more detailed questions then as well. Allow staff to ask some questions, perhaps in the open air of a meeting. But in the meantime, Jim or Sunny, questions for Emily or Mike?
No, sir.
So yeah, I had a couple of questions, Emily. I'm still processing some of the growth projections. That caught me off guard a little bit, but I had just a real simple question. I think in a couple of places you had you called it a emergency operations center or something. Just to help me, just define what that would look like.
Sure.
didn't catch
So that really came a lot from our conversations with the township, with your police and fire department. But actually, originally it came out of an idea of if they shared a facility, and then kind of through working through how that works, we determined that there really wasn't a benefit of them physically being in the same building because there wasn't a lot of overlap as far as a shared program. However, putting the emergency services onto one site was kind of a goal of the township, as far as it makes for efficiencies for them, not necessarily in program, but in support. So that was, again, one of the, I don't want to say one of the outcomes of this, but that was kind of a conversation, and any of you can also speak to that. But that was kind of in the conversation of our many meetings and discussions of how that would function.
Pete?
Mr. Chairman, if I may. So that was sort of taking over what our emergency operations center is currently now over in the police department. It would be a shared resource of a emergency operations center.
So that would be what? Police, fire, Citronio, ambulance? What,
It could be
everything?
all the emergency services, including emergency management.
Okay. I just wanted to just get to understand. And you think there's a value to that, or do you?
Right. Correct me if I'm wrong. Right now, it is, I don't want to say.
Training.
Yeah, you're using the training room and repurposing it
Correct.
as the emergency So in this case, they would actually get a room designated, not sharing it with any other designation other than, because they need radio equipment. They need a muster area where they all can get together in the event of something major. I mean, that's
Correct.
the emergency center.
So I'm on, when I hear this, I'm almost envisioning it like a campus where you have everybody co-located in the same site. Is that what you're envisioning? Or is it just a room that we're talking
Well,
about?
we're just talking a room right now.
Oh, it's just a room. It's not,
Emergency, yes,
okay.
that is just a room within the structure.
But one of the plans is a campus idea where we could theoretically house fire, police, and possibly EMS services as well, yeah?
Yeah, maybe a better term would be like a public safety center, not necessarily an emergency operations center.
Okay, because the way I was envisioning it is like this, everybody's co-located in the same.
Right.
And
Really, an
we-
emergency operations center could be within a public safety.
We would allow Citronia to park like we do now at 56 and work from here as well as an area.
Yeah, we can.
Yeah.
It's just another 15. or
Okay,
16
well,
minutes.
I guess I'll read the report. I'll get more clarification. All right, thank you.
All right, I've got no questions because I'm in processing mode. Jim, you have anything? Questions of the public?
Just trying to swallow 50 million. That's all. 58.
That's a hard gulp.
It's a big number.
Questions or concerns as we evaluate the presentation, knowing that it's long on dreams? Dennis?
Yeah, we
Sure. I mean, I don't even have a copy now either, so we'll make sure that those are available. I think Emily and Mike, we have some hard copies here tonight for us, but there's going to be a PDF version somewhere, right? Okay, and we'll get that out. We can probably do that, Dennis, through 57 as part of that process as well. Other questions or concerns?
It's a little right now to go out, but
Well, there's time, but
Yeah.
if we're looking at next month to process and sort of start the idea of moving forward, getting
Sure.
fire input, I think, is important, if not critical to that.
yeah.
And I imagine, Mike, you're going to be sharing some of the ideas with your staff as well.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, making sure that it's the right thing to do to make sure the people that are affected by it are involved in it as well. Questions or concerns other than that? You just wowed us so much that everyone is stunned in amazement. Thank you, Emily. Thank you, Mike, for the work, and we look forward to continuing to work with you over the next 9 to 10 years or so. And where we are. All right, we're to section 6, discussions and updates, which is blank. I think that's going to stay blank. Section 7, ordinances. A, ordinance 2025-01, the interim saldo update. Cal.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Earlier this evening, there was a second public hearing heard regarding ordinance number 2025-01, the interim saldo update. I won't waste the time to go through what this ordinance is about since everybody heard what it was earlier. And now would be the appropriate time to act upon this ordinance if you so desire.
I'll make a motion to adopt ordinance 2025-01, updating chapter 22 subdivision and land development of Upper Macungie Township Code of Ordinances.
I'll second. Questions or concerns from Jim? Sonny?
No, none for me.
None from me. Knowing that the public had numerous questions the first time during the public hearing, I'll ask again. Anyone have questions about the saldo update? Ryan promises to have his throat clear this time.
I'm good.
All right. Seeing none, we'll call question and move to a vote. All those in favor of the motion to adopt ordinance 2025-01, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes. Thank you, Andrew. Thank you, Ryan. Thank you, Cal. Thank you, anyone who's worked on that project. I know that's not super fun, but we appreciate the effort. We are to resolutions. Resolution 2025-12, docket 2383, Chase Bank, 7150 Hamilton Boulevard, preliminary final land development plan. Cal.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This application proposes to demolish the former Yako's restaurant down at the Trexlertown Mall in Trexlertown and to construct a 3,370 square foot bank building with a drive-through ATM service. This project has gone through the process and appeared at the Planning Commission on November 20th, 2024, where the Planning Commission did recommend preliminary and final plan approval. The applicant is here this evening if you'd like to share additional information.
Sure. Thank you very much.
Let's put the motion on the table and then we'll have the conversation, if that's okay. Sonny?
Okay, yeah, sure. So I'll make a motion to approve Resolution 2025-12, granting preliminary final minor land development approval to docket number 2383 Chase Bank, Trexlertown, conditioned upon the township engineer and 5 review letters dated February 27th, 2025, and February 10th, 2025, respectively.
I'll second that. Now we go to you.
Thank you. My name is Bob Careless. I represent JP Morgan Chase Bank. I'm joined tonight by Corey Christian Bowler. I don't have much more to add on to Cal's summary. It's a very straightforward application. Do we have the color rendering? We could, might be a little better to see. That should be the one. That should come into focus. While that's coming into focus, again, it's a very straightforward application. Chase is the lessee within the Trexlertown shopping center. Just to confirm, no relief is required for the project. We are not asking for any waivers from your saldo. Will comply with your engineer's review letter, and we will continue to work with the fire marshal to address the comments in the fire commissioner's review letter. The property, as you probably know, is situated in both Upper and Lower Macungie Townships. We have applied to Lower Macungie essentially for a deferment of land development to this board, given that all the site improvements are located entirely in the Upper Macungie portion of the property. We did receive a very minor letter from Lower Macungie asking to demonstrate truck turning movements, fire truck turning movements in accordance with their truck, which we provided to them. As Cal noted, the plan was reviewed by your planning commission, in which we received a recommendation of approval. The plan was reviewed by the Lehigh Valley Planning Commission. No issues were raised there. The only thing that I would point out is the plan remains substantially as we presented it to your planning commission back in November. One comment that we did receive from your director of community development and your township planner was the request for an improvement to the connectivity to the existing sidewalk network within the shopping center, which we have agreed to do. That was not a code requirement, but we worked with our landlord to provide it. You can see it as the sidewalk now runs up and east to connect into the existing pedestrian network within the shopping center to improve the flow from the bank into the rest of the shopping center. Cal, I don't know if you want to just flip here. Are you driving this is just a color site plan. You can see that with the improvement on landscaping that would go in with the former restaurant structure that was there, which does result in a net reduction of impervious cover for the shopping center. We do have some elevations to show. This is a modified version Chase prototype. If you've seen other prototypes in the area, this has the view from the various you see the east, north, west, and south elevations here. And we also, there should be a second page there, Cal. I know that's sort of a blank slate. Signage is not part of this application. Chase comes in after the fact and gets sign permitted with your zoning ordinance, but this is a prototypical Chase sign. So I thought it might be better to show you guys with a rendered sign on it so you can see what it would look like. That's really it. Corey, do you have anything you'd like to add to the? Okay, so we are very happy to answer any questions. And before I forget to, we just wanted to say thank you to your staff. They were actually outstanding to work with from start to finish in this project. So thank you very much.
We appreciate the comment. We believe that our staff is quite good as well. So thank you. Well, some days. So the signage, there's no request for signage at this point. That's going to be a separate application, and we'll deal with the zoning ordinance and everything else.
Correct.
And if you need relief on that, you'll go to
That's
that later.
absolutely correct. We would have to come back, and if to the extent we require relief, we'll be back before you.
And the applicant is in full agreement to satisfy the conditions of the engineering, the fire marshal letters as well.
That's correct.
Okay. I have nothing else. Sonny?
Oh, yeah, just a couple of questions. I was going through the review letter. Are you also putting bicycle racks in here too? Did I read or no?
There is a bicycle rack. I don't know if you can go back to the site plan rendering.
Okay.
Kind of the top left corner of the building. around all that shrubbery.
Oh, okay.
Yep, that's
Cool.
my grant.
Yeah, I actually commend you for doing that and also the connectivity. I really do appreciate that because I'm also a member of the planning commission, and these are kind of things that we love to do is to see other alternatives to having to take a vehicle and drive around. So thank you very much for that. Yes, you're making kind of too easy because you haven't asked for any waivers or deferrals or anything.
We endeavor to make it an
Yeah,
easy,
there's like
yeah.
nothing really much to say, and you're willing to pay all fees and everything. There's no waiver on the fees.
No,
Okay.
no.
I
no
thought I saw
waiver
something
request.
about a fee waiver, but you don't have that on the table. Yeah, I have no other question than just thank you for giving us a really nice, clean proposal. It's nice to see.
Thank you.
Jim?
I'm good.
Questions from the public regarding this application? Beautiful. Seeing none, we can call a question, move to a vote. All those in favor of the resolution, the motion to adopt resolution 2025-12, granting preliminary final minor land development to Chase Bank Trexler Town, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Granted. Thank you.
Thank you very
Appreciate your
much.
effort.
I guess I can't oppose that we're losing the Yakos, though, right? Am I allowed to do
That
that?
Yakos has
already
been lost for a
It's
while.
already gone. Oh, yeah.
It's
Okay.
already gone.
They're going to tear it down. It's not going to smell like hot dogs anymore.
All right.
We are to resolution B, 2025-13. Actually, we've reached the Ryan Griffiths portion of our agenda. I hope you're ready. Hope you drank some water. This is
music yet, intro music.
I don't think we have intro music for Ryan. DCNR application for the Grange Park Loop Trail. Ryan.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So this is a DCNR grant application to authorize us for their community conservation partnership program for the Grange Park Loop Trail. As you remember, we did an application for this in 2024. We were unsuccessful in receiving the grant, and we are reapplying for the project for this year.
I'll make a motion to approve resolution 2025-13, authorizing the submission of a Pennsylvania Department of Conservation and Natural Resources Community Conservation Partnership Program grant, Jesus, in the amount of $250,000 for the Grange Park Loop Trail construction, including matching funds commitment letter to be signed by the township manager.
I'll second that.
Thank you, Jim. Questions? This is just re-upping what we did last year, but we were unsuccessful.
Correct.
And we've consulted with some people to be more successful this time.
Yep, we have worked, we met with our regional advisor for DCNR to review last year's application, and we've worked with the HRG team to better put an application in to be more successful.
All right, so we've worked with the professionals that we have on staff. We've worked with the consultants available to us, and this time we're going to get it for sure, right?
Yeah.
Don't answer that, Ryan.
Questions from anyone else? Any questions from the public regarding this grant application? Almost from Sean Gill, but not really. Seeing none, we can move to a vote. All those in favor of the motion to approve resolution 2025-13 regarding the DCNR Grange Park Loop Trail construction, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes. Thank you, Ryan. Resolution 2025-14, the DCED grant application for the Grange Park Loop Trail, Ryan.
So thank you again. This is a resubmittal from last year. It was another application in 2024 to a different funding source through DCED to complete this project. We were also unsuccessful in this application. We've met with the HRG team to enhance our application again.
Okay, I'll make a motion to approve resolution number 2025-14, authorizing the submission of Pennsylvania Department of Community and Economic Development, DCED, Greenways, Trails, and Recreation Grant in the amount of $250,000 for the Grange Park Loop Trail construction, including a matching funds commitment letter of, what's the percentage on that one?
15%.
Of 15%. To be signed by the township manager.
I'll second the motion. Questions or concerns? Jim?
I'm good.
Sonny?
No, I'm good.
Again, we were unsuccessful last year. We have help from our staff. We have help from our consultants. So we're definitely going to be successful this year, right, Ryan?
Ryan's getting.
I can wait as long as you can. Seeing no questions there. Any questions from the public regarding the DCED grant for the Grange Park Loop Trail? Seeing none, we can move to a vote. All those in favor of the motion to approve resolution
Mr.
20.
Chairman, excuse me. Did we get a second on that?
Yeah,
I seconded it.
Okay.
Yep. I thought I did. I second the motion.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. All those in favor of the motion to approve Resolution 2025-14 regarding the DCED grant for $250,000, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes. Thank you, Ryan. Resolution 2025-15 DCNR grant application Lone Lane Park Master Plan. Ryan.
So this again is another application in DC and our Community Conservation Partnership Program grant. As we've seen with our comprehensive park rec open space plan, where some of the priorities are leading us, 73% of respondents to that survey visit Lone Lane Park within the last year, and 40% of those respondents would like to see us add and enhance to existing parks. In order to get ahead of that, we want to build on that momentum and put in funds for a single site master plan specific to Lone Lane Park.
I'll make a motion to approve Resolution 2025-15, authorizing the submission of a Pennsylvania Department of Conservation and Natural Resources Community Conservation Partnerships Program grant in the amount of $50,000 for the creation of a master site plan, including a matching funds commitment letter to be signed by the township manager. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Jim. Questions, Sonny?
Yeah, just to confirm again, what's the matching amount for the public?
For DC and our requirements, this is a 50% match.
50 or 15?
50.
50.
50, okay.
DCNR is 50.
Okay.
Anything else?
Nope.
Questions from the public regarding this grant application? Seeing none, we can call question and move to a vote. All those in favor of the motion to approve Resolution 2025-15 regarding the master site plan for Lone Lane Park signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes. Thank you, Ryan. Resolution letter E, Resolution 2025-16, the DCED grant application for the Lone Lane Park Master Plan. This is feeling like it's going down a very familiar road. Ryan.
Yep. So this is just a DCD application for the same project as just described.
I'll make a motion to approve Resolution 2025-16, authorizing the submission of a Pennsylvania Department of Community and Education Development Greenways, Trails, and Recreation grant in the amount of $50,000 for the creation of a Lone Lane Park Master Plan, including a matching funds commitment letter to be signed by the township manager. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Jim. DCED is 15% match, yes?
Correct.
I'll answer your question for you, Sonny.
Yeah, you're going with that. Yeah, that's that was my only question. My only we've already gone through a couple of these already, but it might be a good idea to add the matching amount to the motion, just so we have it.
I think that the letter of the resolution actually is template language from DCED or DCNR.
Yeah, it doesn't have it in there, so I'm just suggesting we put it in a motion since it's not
Okay,
documented
well,
anywhere.
it's now documented in the conversation,
Okay,
so we're
cool.
good. I appreciate it.
Yep.
Questions from the community on the DCED grant for the DCNR grant that we just approved? Seeing none, we'll move to a vote. All those in favor of the motion to approve Resolution 2025-16, wow, for a DCED grant for a master plan for Lone Lane Park, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes. Thank you. Resolution 2025-17, the Lehigh Valley Greenways mini grant application. Let's see, Ryan.
So thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is a Lehigh Valley Greenways main grant application that this past year in 2024, the township had received and we used towards the project of planting 19 trees at Lone Lane Park. This year's submission, we're looking to beef up our tree cover at Grange Park through this grant process. In response to our comprehensive park rec open space plan, 33% of respondents have stated a lack of shade is the primary reason they do not visit our parks.
I'll make a motion to approve Resolution 2025-17, authorizing the submission of a Lehigh Valley Greenways mini grant in the amount of $20,000 for tree planting at Grange Park, including a matching funds commitment letter to be signed by the township manager. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you. Ryan, just to be confirming here, the match amount? 50.
Ryan, how many trees was that again? I'm sorry, I missed it.
It's going to depend. We're working on the budget. We're roughly looking somewhere between 35 and 40.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions from the board or the community on this this grant application? Seeing none, we can move to a vote. All those in favor of the motion to approve Resolution 2025-17, authorizing the submission of a Lehigh Valley Greenways mini grant for Grange Park, signify by saying aye.
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 Passes 3-0. Thank you, Ryan. Resolution 2025-18, recognizing Upper Macungie Township Fire and Rescue Company as an official fire company. Chief.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This evening, I'm asking the board to recognize Upper Macungie Township Fire and Rescue Company as an official emergency service provider for the township. We've got 55 members of the organization. We've, I will say, officially had our first meeting with elected board of directors and also elected administrative officers. This is part of the process moving forward.
Good.
All right, so I'll make a motion to approve Resolution 2025-18, recognizing Upper Macungie Township Fire and Rescue Company as an official emergency service provider for Upper Macungie Township.
I will proudly second that motion. Questions or concerns, Jim?
Station 57, right?
That is correct.
Done, any questions?
No.
Questions from the public regarding authorizing the Upper Macungie Township Fire and Rescue Company, which is Station 57? Seeing none, we can move to a vote. All those in favor of the motion to approve Resolution 2025-18, recognizing the Upper Macungie Township Fire and Rescue Company as an official emergency service provider for Upper Macungie Township, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes. Thank you, Pete.
Thank you.
Well, we took a break from him, so we're going to go back to him now. This is in motions authorizing South Parkland Youth Association to construct a concrete wall for sports practices. Ryan.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Apologize, the batteries ran out. This is a motion to work with South Parkland Youth Association to construct 2 concrete block walls for various sports practices, lacrosse, soccer, field hockey. South Parkland has an outlined list of responsibilities for this project, including obtaining the required permits from Upper Macungie Township, hiring and paying for a licensed contractor to provide engineered drawings of and constructing the structure, and obtaining required Upper Macungie Township post-construction inspection and closeouts. As the township, we will assist with the process by issuing the required permits, preparing the site by completing excavation, leveling and backfilling, and restoration of the disturbed ground and grass upon completion of the project. This is a motion that is brought to you that has run through the Park and Recreation Board and passed along favorably for your approval.
All right, this is a long one. I'm going to make a motion to allow South Parkland Youth Association to construct 2 concrete block walls for sports practices. South Parkland Youth Association will be responsible for obtaining required Upper Macungie Township building permits, hiring and paying for a licensed contractor to provide engineered drawings of and construct the structures, and obtaining required Upper Macungie Township post-construction inspection closeout. Upper Macungie Township will assist in this project by issuing the required permits, prepare the sites by completing excavation, leveling, backfilling, and restoration of ground and grass upon completion of construction. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Jim. Questions? Sonny?
I just, so let's say hypothetically, sometime later in the future, we don't want the wall, tear it down. Who's responsible for that?
We would be responsible for the maintenance.
So we're responsible for maintenance, deconstruction. Okay, so we're responsible for all of that. Okay.
When you say maintenance, Ryan, if there's a chip in the wall, break in the wall, is that us?
Yes.
Okay, so South Parkland's taking the responsibility of paying for the construction of the wall, but then it becomes a fixture, permanent property of Upper Macungie
Correct. It
Township.
becomes a fixture of the park, open to the public.
Do we have a set number of years that we're required to keep it up before we can decide to, Mr. Chairman, tear down that wall?
No.
Anybody get that reference? Okay, thank you. There's no requirement, so if it goes really poorly next month, we could tear it down?
I don't think it'll be up by next month, but no.
In the next month after construction, Mr. Smart Guy, we could tear it down?
That would be up to us, yes.
Okay.
What are the dimensions of the wall?
So there's two different locations. One is approximately 12 feet by 40. The other one is 10 by 30. This is working with the presentation they gave to the Park and Recreation Board. It is a wall surface that would be used, for example, if you're practicing lacrosse skills, you're throwing a ball against the wall versus the metal shed that's currently there that has shown damage of a ball being thrown against. Also for field hockey, stick handling skills, and soccer skills, where you also would not have to be on a field. We're currently trying to work on making sure groups are not on our fields to help with the turf maintenance. So this is a chance to still practice and work on those things outside of a dedicated field space.
Okay, and I assume that would be open to the public. So
Yes,
anybody that
we made
wants
that
to-
very clear in our
Yeah.
conversations.
Okay.
So essentially, we're constructing like an outdoor handball court or like a tennis wall that you see.
Roughly, yes.
But it's going to be, we're not paving the surface in front of it. It's going to be grass in front of it.
Correct.
Do we know where these are going to be? I don't know if I missed that.
One is located up near where the current utility area is between the parking lot and the edge of the fencing. And the other one would be on the bypass field side. And actually, there's the site plan right here. We'll pull up for you.
Oh, here we go. So, oh, I see 'em. Okay. Pretty close to the parking lots, though.
They are oriented so they are perpendicular to the parking lot, not parallel. So to avoid that issue of occurring of balls flying into the parking lot in our
Okay.
conversations.
All right.
Looks like
These are pictures for reference. It's not the exact, just to give you a visual.
Looks like a big Jersey barrier, actually.
It's going to keep noise out of Grange Park now.
All right. Thank you.
We don't have concerns. Grange Park's awfully breezy, shall we say. We don't have concerns about the stability of these walls. I'm assuming.
No,
that they're
I
built-
can tell you the engineered drawings have been submitted in the permit process already.
Okay.
The contractor that South Parkland is looking to use is Keen Masonry, so a reputable contractor going through that permit process.
Jim, anything?
No, sir.
Questions or comments from the public regarding these concrete walls in the park? Seeing none, we can move to a vote. All those in favor of the motion to allow South Parkland Youth Association to construct 2 concrete walls for sports practices signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes. Thank you, Ryan. B, authorizing the creation of the Kathy Rader Citizenship Award Program. Jim, or Jazz, rather, I guess.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
No, it's okay.
Over the last couple months of 2024, I received several calls of residents wanting to recognize their neighbors of the things that they're doing within the township and for their neighbors. During that conversation, it was presented to Bob as well as I spoke with Ryan, and we considered that this was a good idea for the township and our residents to be able to recognize those people within the township. When we were looking for a name of how to name this, one name popped into our minds, and it is the first and only woman to serve as a township supervisor on this board for Upper Macungie Township. She also has over 40 years of experience and service within the township. I got to work with her for a little bit as well, so I'm very proud to say that she exemplifies what a good citizen is, and that she is very deserving of this title for her. I'm sorry, I'm kind of emotional. And for this, I worked with Ryan once again, and he will explain what the process would be for this. But we're looking to get approval for the Good Citizenship Award to be named the Kathy Rader Good Citizenship Award from the board. Ryan?
When we researched other municipal good citizenship award processes, we really wanted to come up with a formal guideline to do so. Under those guidelines for nomination criteria, eligible recipient must be an Upper Macungie Township resident who has resided within the township limits for at least 5 years and demonstrated one of the following criteria: exceptional volunteer service that shows a dedication to making Upper Macungie Township a better place to live, work, play, or learn; made a positive difference in the fellow citizen's life, or has demonstrated care and concern for Upper Macungie Township and its residents; worked with or organized other individuals to solve a problem in Upper Macungie Township, or has a mission to better Upper Macungie Township in a positive way; displayed the qualities of honesty, integrity, and service, and is an example to Upper Macungie Township residents. Out of that eligible criteria, there's a nomination form process, a formal application to be submitted to the township with a selection committee comprised of township staff who will review the nominations and select up to 3 award winners annually. And as Jasmine has mentioned, I have been here less than a year, but in my research to select this award name, I'm just going to read from your Distinguished Service Award from last year that Kathy is always ready and willing to assist anyone with a task, work through an obstacle, or lead with a helping hand, and with a good nature, big heart, and wide smile. And we feel this criteria matches the naming of this award.
So I'm going to make this motion, and before I do, I want to also acknowledge that I served with Kathy for 9 or 10 years with her sitting up here, and I don't know of a township individual who has dedicated their life for the betterment of this township. She never had an impure thought with respect to her motives on anything that she suggested or what she wanted to do. And it was always for the betterment of the township. And we are extremely lucky to have had Kathy not only work here, but serve as a supervisor with us and, you know, putting her values forth to the community. So I make a motion to allow staff to implement and formalize the Good Citizenship Award to be named the Kathy Rader Good Citizenship Award.
I'll second that motion. And I'm glad people explain. I've never heard of Kathy Rader before tonight, so it's probably a good thing. Sonny, comments or concerns?
No, no.
She's the reason I'm sitting here, though. I don't know. I'm a little upset about that.
That might be a
but
concern for all of us, honestly, Jim. Yes, sir, Mr. Gill.
Extremely upset that the splash park.
not done yet. Not done yet, Sean. Not done yet.
Mr. Gill, we try to leave comments to things that are on the agenda. So if you kindly limit your comments into the future to the Citizenship Award and not a splash park in the wintertime. Okay.
Don't spoil it, Sean. Don't spoil it.
In all seriousness, from my perspective, before I ran and while I was running and while I served here, Kathy's been a nice resource for me as well. Always willing to take a call, always willing to lend a helping hand. Continues to serve the township as a member of the, I always get this wrong, the Upper Macungie Township Community Fund, helping us raise money for our community center. And this is a well-deserved honor to have her name associated with good citizenship in our township. And I'm happy we're doing this. Without letting Kathy's head get too big, are there public comment about this?
She's retired now, so.
Nobody wants to comment on it. Kathy.
I would just like to say that I'm very honored to have my name associated.
Anyone else?
I just want to thank Kathy for her service, continued service of the Western Lehigh Board, not only when she was representing Upper Macungie, but she still sits on our board. So that's just another amazing way that she's serving our community.
All right, that's about enough. We'll call question and move to vote. All those in favor of the motion to implement a Kathy Rader Good Citizenship Award for the Upper Macungie Township signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Nay. No, I'm only
Ooh. It passed anyway, Jim. It passes.
No,
Thank you, Jazz. Thank you. And thank you, Kathy, for everything you've done for us to get us to where we are. And we hope that we are continuing to move forward together. Board and staff reports. I'll note that the department reports are in the back of the room, ready for review. But that said, we'll go around the horn here and see what we got. Ryan, anything from engineering?
Yeah, we've had a busy 2 months transitioning into your engineer position. We've had 18 total staff meetings and kickoff meetings, discipline-centric, transportation, wastewater. Yesterday, we had a GIS meeting to go over the township's thorough database. We want to continue to serve the township. Keystone did a great job with your GIS database. We want to continue in that role. This morning, we had a meeting regarding agricultural services with your staff, talking about potential farmland preservation, cleaning up sites, things of that nature, working with farmers and residents. Next week, we will have a VZAP meeting, and we'll be discussing the actual constructability of some of the pathways that were shown in the VZAP and going over with the township what priorities there are, where we should focus. That's on Tuesday morning. And then we just scheduled for 2 weeks from now, we're going to have a roadway assessment type discussion and discuss with the township and decide what method of roadway assessment we want to do and prioritizing and laser scanning and all that kind of thing. So on top of that, we also have the 2 Green Light Go grants that we're working on for the township. We're going to have a kickoff meeting. Bob, you're probably fed up with the kickoff meeting emails I send to you, but we'll probably have that in a week or two. So that's for the Tillman Street corridor, Hamilton Boulevard corridor. And then the township recently was awarded an ARLE grant from PennDOT, which will help with connectivity and the adaptive systems. So we'll be scheduling that as well. Regarding sewage enforcement, our sewage enforcement officer has been very busy with a lot of the land developments that have been coming in. And specifically, we've been viewing a lot of the testing results for TransEdge, Woodmere, and the upcoming Arrowhead Lane subdivision project, which is on the agenda for the next planning commission meeting. So other than that, yeah, we haven't had much going on with you guys, but we look forward to helping you guys and anything that comes up. If any of the supervisors want to reach out to me specifically, if not, I'm in touch with Meredith, Cal, and Bob and Jasmine all the time.
Brian, you made a mistake offering that for me, but just one quick question: the Vision Zero plan, that's a public meeting though, right? Or is that?
We're just having a discussion for us as your consultant to go over the previously prepared Vision Zero action plan and get a little more detail from the township staff, and then potentially me and my staff will go do a field view. Let's say Tillman Street was identified. We're going to go take a look and see what the issues are. And Tillman Street does have issues.
I'm confused. Isn't there a public meeting coming up?
That's for the
not for Vision Zero, perhaps for the park recreation open space plan.
That's what I'm thinking of. Okay, yeah,
I'm sure
sorry.
Ryan will be discussing that.
Yep, you're right. Yeah, that's what I had the two confused. I apologize.
Thank you, Ryan. Andrew, anything on the legal side?
No, just, business as usual. We're continuing to work with staff and consultants on the zoning ordinance rewrite. We're making progress with that. Continue drafting agreements related to getting some of the approved subdivisions and land developments recorded, and just continuing our agreements, some agreements that we need to get in place and revised. And other than that, it's been business as usual.
Cal from Community Development.
Ryan touched on this briefly, but so the township last year did receive 2 Green Light Go grants, which totaled a little bit more than $600,000 to increase the communication ability of the Tillman Street and Hamilton Boulevard corridors. And then the newest grant we got is an ARLE grant, which is actually $317,000 to increase 13 traffic traffic signals throughout the township on the way they detect traffic. So between these 2 grants basically in the last 6 months, we've got about $1 million in grants from PennDOT, which is fantastic, and will go a long way toward improving traffic throughout the township.
Thank you, Cal. Jazz.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I do have a couple of things that I do want to announce. First is that there was an executive session that was held today at 6 p.m. and the topic discussed was personnel. Our engagement continues to increase, and we are still holding at an 86.8% engagement rate, which is very, very good. And something that is exciting that I know a lot of you have been seeing on Facebook and getting those push notifications if you subscribed. And if you subscribed, like promised, you are the first to know, and I will announce this shortly. Those rockets are just saying that we're moving into a new era. We want to have more communication, clearer communication with our township residents and surrounding communities, allowing us to get your requests and also share the requests with others so we're not having multiple requests. Easy questions, you can just go on and we will, basically we had these rocket ships that were being built and you've seen the push button, and those of you that have subscribed have just seen this that came through at 8:30 today. Well, maybe not. I'll start. Sorry.
Oh, I got it.
So we have created a UMT Connect app that is now available for download on both Apple and Android. This has been long coming. I know I've been announcing it, something's coming, something's coming. We started this kickoff in April of 24. It's been 11 months. Development was from June to January. We just had system training. Obviously, today is the launch. We've worked very hard. I have to thank the team that I've had from Granicus, Fleur, and John, Sandy, Ryan, Meredith. Staff has been helping me, even though I have not wanted to give a lot of information. This is actually a surprise for, I'd say, about 90% of the staff here because I try to keep it as close as possible. But I am very happy that I was able to have the support from Bob to be able to put this forth. And hopefully this is a good segue for more communication with our residents. And I hope you guys enjoy, and I will be watching the metrics to make sure that everybody's downloading because you'll hear it from me a lot. It took a lot of work, and I'm very proud of this for the residents and surrounding communities.
Thank you, Jazz. That's fantastic. Thank you for all your efforts in there.
Thank you,
Bob?
Mr.
Yeah, I'd also like to thank Jasmine. She came to me a while ago with this, and she stuck with it. And I don't know if you can see it, but it's a pretty nice app. We're going to add some pictures and dress it up a little bit more. Very user-friendly, so a lot easier to stay in contact with us and for us to stay in contact with you. Just a quick update. Last month, the board authorized staff to take action to secure temporary construction easements for properties along Citroni Road. That was resolved, and that project is moving forward without township involvement.
Excellent. Mike?
I don't have anything. I would just like to echo everybody, Kathy, that throughout the years, you've been great to work with and for, and I'm happy to call you a friend. And just one of your notable acts of volunteerism was in, I think the scientific term is a wet lab, while we practiced standardized field sobriety testing many years ago. And you were a great volunteer at that. So thank you. And the award is much deserved.
I don't think we're going to include that on the citizenship award, but thank you. Pete? We've heard too much from Ryan already. Scott? That's stunning. Bruce or Michelle?
The township has 2 upcoming recycling events to be held at Grange Road Park. The first is a paper shredding event to be held April 5th from 9 to 11. And the second is electronic recycling on May 3rd from 9 to noon. Details can be found on our website.
And you need an ID to do that, right? You need to be an Upper Macungie
You
resident?
have to be an Upper Country resident, yes.
Thank you. I guess we'll turn it over to Ryan now.
Just a couple quick updates we haven't already talked about. Our current programming, 8 out of our 12 programs are full. We opened up summer camp registration for 2025 for our 4th year of summer camp this past Monday. Out of 375 current spots, only 64 remain. Jandal Elementary did fill as of this afternoon. We are currently hiring for a summer camp coordinators, site supervisors, assistant site supervisors, and camp counselors, which are on the website for the application. And Emily has been doing a fantastic job working on some new elements for campers this year with additional add-ons of various field trips to locations such as the Da Vinci Science Center, Iron Pigs game, and others that will be forthcoming. Our second e-newsletter went out. We're about 9,000 subscribers with an open rate of 65%, which was up 30% from January. And the comprehensive park rec open space plan is in the final stretches. The steering committee has received the draft plan as of today for their comment period, with their next meeting virtually on Monday. Our third public meeting is Thursday, the 13th, here at the Township Building at 7 o'clock. We also held our Park and Rec board meeting back on February 20th. A couple of the highlights were feedback from the Winterfest event. Lehigh Valley Cricket Club came and we had a discussion about how to move forward with finding a spot for them in our Upper Macungie Township parks for their needs, short-term and long-term. the South Parkland Youth Association projects, and then some public comments from residents about various parks and amenities.
Thank you, Ryan. Sonny, you got anything?
No, I guess in the interest of trying to have the meeting closed by 9, I don't have any additional. comments.
Jim, do you have anything? Jim just had to use the restroom.
Okay.
We'll move to public comment courtesy of the floor. Anybody here want to add anything? Now's your chance. Sean.
Sorry. Stop signs at Boulevard and Tillman at the hotel there, are they coming down anytime soon?
Yeah, we had talked with HRG about it, Sean. We're waiting for the hotel to open. Which they're going for a CO any day now, but we want to have the traffic coming in and out of the hotel. We're going to do a quick traffic study just to justify any changes to the stop signs.
I don't know what's happening, but the traffic's getting backed up again on Tillman. And I'm not around.
Now, there's a problem with the light actually on Tillman that's backing up Blue Barn that way. Ryan and Scott have been on that, so that should resolve soon.
Anyone else? Yes, sir.
My name's Paul Bender. I live in Bryant'sville, just south of the new bridge they're putting up. I've lived in the area across the street in my house now for the last 75 years. And when it rains hard, I have the water completely around my house. And I just want to put it on the record that I have a great concern that the bridge that they're putting in is going to be larger. It's going to be more water down onto my property, which I have a great concern. Am I going to have more flooding? I just want to have it on the record.
Okay. To the extent that this constitutes the record, I would encourage you, as the meeting, I believe the PennDOT engineers are still here, so maybe talk to them and find out what the official position, that part, that you can start registering your comments with the folks that are doing the construction, and they can help you there.
Also, HRG has heard that comment as well. So.
Yeah, and our engineers here as well. Those will be noted here for our engineer, but I'd encourage you after the meeting to talk to the PennDOT folks as well.
And I think they offered, this questionnaire would have the residents give feedback. I would imagine that's a great opportunity for you to do that.
Anyone else?
You might want to ask people to come to the speaker because people on YouTube would not be able to hear.
Sure. Yeah. Anyone else? Because if there's anyone else, Sonny would like you to come to the microphone. Seeing none, I'm going to take a little advantage, and I'm going to say one thing before we close. Tomorrow is, I believe, National Employee Appreciation Day. So I want to take a moment as a supervisor of Upper Macungie to appreciate the employees and the staff that we have here openly on the record tonight. From what we've heard tonight, and this is just one meeting, we have increased park and recreation programming that are already filling up for the summer with greater engagement to those programs online. We have new programs and initiatives launched by Jazz to make sure that all of our parks, all of our residents and surrounding residents are aware of what's going on in our township. We're in the middle of a Park and Rec's comprehensive plan review and drafting, which has taken a tremendous amount of effort from our staff to coordinate to get township opinion on what we need to do better and what we can do better moving forward. We're in the middle of a massive project that's a zoning and saldo rewrite, the creation of a zoning map, and even possibly the creation of an official township map. If you've not been in Meredith Keller's office and talked to her about the amount of work that's gone into this project, you're missing out on some of the wonkiest conversation you'll ever have. But this is a huge piece of business that by itself would be a massive undertaking, and we're doing it in the middle of everything else. We have started in the last year a new fire company to try to improve the volunteer fire services that are offered to our residents in Upper Macungie. And keep in mind, again, for anyone who's listening who doesn't know, this is an all-volunteer fire department that does a tremendous job responding, and all we're trying to do is improve, and it's taken a tremendous amount of work by Pete Chris and his staff, as well as the volunteers of this township to get this in a better shape, and that's what we're doing now. Tonight, we started capital planning for the next iteration of our township, which has taken a lot of work since October, not only of the folks at Alloy 5, and we appreciate you as well, but you're not employees, so you're not part of my rant right now. But our team has been involved in getting information to them and talking to them the entire time about this next step, which is, again, not just math, a massive undertaking that our township staff is doing a great job of making sure that you as the residents of this township are protected, safe, and secure for the days today and moving forward. If you haven't noticed, we're building a small project out on Grange Road, that a community center that is, we had $42 million building,
45.
a $45 million building that we're putting up that will be ready in the spring, summer of 2026, that Bob and his team are constantly keeping an eye on and constantly making sure that progress is moving forward. And we're working on fundraising as a staff to make sure, and Ryan and his team are making sure that we're programming into that building, which again, much like everything else I've named, by itself would be a massive undertaking, but is in the middle of all these other massive undertakings. And I'm not done. We've transitioned to a new engineer over the past 2 months. And Ryan, your team, for all I've heard, has been fantastic. But again, it takes a huge team to make it fantastic. And our township staff, it works every day to continue to support you and your team. We have done all of this on the back of staff that has done this for you, our residents, without any tax increases over the past few years. This has not cost you anything extra. And to remind you, while we're sitting here, we have the third lowest tax rate in Lehigh County of any municipality. This is a staff that works every day for you, for us. And at the close of the meeting tonight, I just wanted to take a minute to recognize that the things that we're placing on you, Bob, and your team, Mike, your team, Pete, your team, Ryan, your team, Michelle and Bruce, your team, Scott, your team, Ryan, your team, Andrew, Cal, your team, Jazz, your team, is massive. And every day you not only meet, but you surpass our expectations. So on the eve of Employee Appreciation Day, I want to say from me and Jim and Sonny, thank you for everything you do. It is not unseen and it's not unheard, and we can't be here without you. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
And with that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll second it.
Well, I didn't make it.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second the motion.
Thank you. All
Okay.
those in favor of adjourning, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
We're adjourned. Thank you.
Well said.
Thank you.